Welcome to True Crime Stories, where we delve into the darkest corners of human behavior. Today, we'll be examining a horrifying case that occurred in Mexico City on November 6, 2014. In a vacant lot near the city's exit, Mexico City police officers made a gruesome discovery: human remains. The torso was found first, followed by bags containing arms and legs scattered throughout the capital. What made this case particularly disturbing was the absence of fingers on the limbs. The police immediately realized that they were dealing with a particularly violent criminal. Squads of officers were assembled and sent out to scour the streets, their primary goal being to locate the missing head and limbs of the victim and prevent further crimes. At the time, everyone was convinced that this was the work of a brutal serial killer. However, despite extensive efforts, the fingers and head were never found. Thanks to the expertise of forensic experts, it was determined that the remains belonged to the same person. However, due to the absence of fingers and teeth, it was impossible to identify the victim. Join us as we delve deeper into this chilling case and explore the challenges faced by law enforcement in their pursuit of justice. In the heart of Mexico City, a chilling tale unfolded, involving a respected psychotherapist named Alejandra Lafauente and her ill-fated marriage to a prominent businessman, Carrera. Their seemingly idyllic life took a sinister turn when Alejandra's dark past resurfaced, leading to a gruesome crime that shocked the nation. Alejandra, a striking brunette with captivating eyes, possessed an athletic figure that she meticulously maintained through fitness, yoga, and breathing exercises. She reveled in self-care, frequenting beauty salons, massage parlors, and spas. On sunny days, she basked in the warmth of the beach. When clouds gathered, she sought solace in tanning salons. Alejandra's self-obsession was undeniable. She considered herself the epitome of female allure. Her professional achievements mirrored her personal vanity. The daughter of renowned psychiatrist Alberto Dente, Alejandra followed in her father's footsteps, enrolling in the most prestigious university for psychiatry and graduating with honors. Her perseverance, resourcefulness, exceptional intelligence, and her father's influential connections propelled her to write and defend her thesis on manic syndrome. However, psychiatry did not captivate Alejandra. She was drawn to the realm of psychotherapy. With her father's financial backing, Alejandra obtained a license and established her office in a modern business center in the heart of the capital. Clients flocked to her, seeking solace for their emotional struggles. Women with eating disorders, depression, relationship issues, and low self-esteem found comfort in Alejandra's counseling sessions. She skillfully resolved family problems, but her personal life remained a tumultuous affair. Alejandra's first marriage ended in divorce, but the couple shared two charming daughters, who inherited Alejandra's striking eyes and their father's witty humor. Undeterred by the challenges of single motherhood, Alejandra yearned for a partner who could also be a devoted father to her girls. Fate seemed to intervene when Alejandra's ex-husband, whose identity remains undisclosed, returned home one fateful day. It was a familiar routine. He would visit on weekends to spend time with his daughters and assist Alejandra with household chores. Little did he know that this visit would be his last. Alejandra instructed him to enter the house through the backyard, claiming that the front door was jammed. He complied, unaware of the sinister trap that awaited him. As he made his way inside, Alejandra informed him that their youngest daughter was bathing and asked him to join her in the bathroom. Suspecting nothing amiss, he obliged. An eerie silence enveloped the house. The usual sounds of laughter and cartoons were absent. As he entered the bathroom, he noticed duct tape on the floor, but there was no sign of his daughter in the filled bathtub. A chilling realization dawned on him that something was terribly wrong. At that very moment, his ex-wife emerged from behind him, wielding a hammer. Without hesitation, she delivered a crushing blow to his head, followed by another. He collapsed to the ground, blood gushing from the gaping wound in his skull. The bathroom was transformed into a scene of carnage, with blood splattered everywhere. Forensic experts later determined that the man had no chance of survival. Death occurred almost instantaneously after the first strike with a heavy blunt object. The children had often witnessed their parents' quarrels, and Alejandra's erratic behavior was no secret. Friends noticed her violent tendencies towards her husband, observing scratches on his arms and neck. Neighbors frequently witnessed her tantrums and inappropriate conduct, but this time, the situation had spiraled out of control. The terrified daughter fled the house, screaming for help. A neighbor rushed to her aid and immediately called the police. Alejandra was swiftly apprehended and charged with murder. During her interrogation at the station, she vehemently denied her guilt. Alejandra's defense attorneys presented a version of self-defense. They argued that her ex-husband was consumed by jealousy and falsely accused her of bringing men into the house, which could negatively impact their daughter's well-being. On the day of the crime, he allegedly showed up unannounced at his ex-wife's residence, intending to catch her with another man. He then pounced on Alejandra, who was in the bathroom at the time, attempting to assemble a nightstand. In response, she was forced to defend herself, delivering 2 blows to the back of her ex-husband's head. On June 14, 2012, the verdict was delivered. Considering the evidence presented by the defense and the presence of 2 minor children, Alejandra was sentenced to 1 year and 4 months in prison. However, thanks to the relentless efforts of her lawyers and the financial resources of her father, the prison term was replaced with a suspended sentence. A few months later, an appeal was filed, requesting the dismissal of all charges on the grounds of self-defense. Human rights activists rallied around Alejandra, portraying her as a victim of domestic violence who fought for her rights like many women in North America. As a result, the court reviewed the case and issued an acquittal. Following her release, Alejandra resumed her practice as a psychotherapist. She carefully crafted an image of herself as a victim of gender inequality, who had triumphed over adversity like countless other women. This carefully constructed persona further enhanced her popularity among potential clients. Fate brought Maria Alejandra into the path of Alan Carrera, a prominent Mexican businessman and the son of Adrian Carrera Francis, a former head of special services for the Central District. Alan possessed a commanding presence, with his tall stature and handsome features. His father had achieved remarkable success in his career, and Alan expanded his business empire, establishing a chain of construction stores that flourished across the country. While a portion of Alan's business ventures were legitimate, another facet, known to only a select few, was deeply intertwined with criminal activities. This clandestine aspect of his business led to his father's removal from his position when one of Alan's financial frauds was uncovered. Additionally, Alan had a stake in a criminal organization involved in the transportation of psychotropic substances to the United States. Their base of operations was situated in a border town, guarded by corrupt police officers. This group controlled a significant portion of the psychoactive substance trafficking in the South. Adrian Carrera's involvement in his son's illicit activities was eventually exposed. The police obtained a confession from him, leading to a 20-year prison sentence. However, on July 18, 2000, Adrian Carrera secured an early release through the Witness Protection Program. Upon his release, he dedicated himself to his legitimate business and his son's well-being. Alan, influenced by his father's experiences and perspectives, embraced entrepreneurship after graduating from college. He took a keen interest in a household appliance store, which he managed with remarkable proficiency despite his young age. While this business was not as extensive as his father's, it generated substantial income. Surrounded by women, Alan's heart belonged to a classmate whom he eventually married. She was intelligent, beautiful, and came from a respectable family. Their marriage was brief but filled with joy. They welcomed a lovely daughter into their lives. However, Alan's demanding work schedule and frequent absences took a toll on their relationship, ultimately leading to divorce. Parting ways with the woman he had loved since his high school days proved incredibly difficult for Alan. Subsequent relationships failed to bring him solace, and loneliness and sorrow led him to seek solace in alcohol. This gradually evolved into a pernicious habit. In an attempt to cope with his prolonged depression and unrequited love, Alan explored various avenues for recovery, including books, circles, and drips. Destiny intervened when Alan sought the counsel of the renowned psychiatrist Alberto Dente, the father of Maria Alejandra. Coincidentally, Alan's ex-wife was also undergoing a difficult divorce. Alan was the only man in the young woman's life, and despite their separation, she yearned for his presence to alleviate her loneliness. Alan's ex-wife also decided to seek therapy from the same psychiatrist who was treating Alan. However, unbeknownst to the clients, the psychiatrist did not disclose that Alejandra was his daughter. Alejandra quickly recognized that her patient's ex-husband possessed desirable qualities. He was described as a pleasant man in the prime of life and quite wealthy. Without hesitation, Alejandra suggested that her client bring her ex-husband for a consultation. She claimed that she could resolve their issues in a single session and sever the emotional bond between them. From the outset of their steamy session, Alejandra initiated her plan to seduce the entrepreneur. Her efforts bore fruit swiftly. Immediately after the session, Alan invited the therapist for a cup of coffee to discuss their family problems. Despite her initial reluctance due to professional ethics, Alejandra eventually agreed to the date, which took place that same evening. A passionate affair quickly blossomed between them. News of their relationship reached Alan's ex-wife, who was shocked and contemplated reporting the incident to the ethics committee. However, she ultimately decided against it. Alejandra's reputation as a competent specialist enabled her to convince her client to let go of the situation, attributing it to jealousy and an unwillingness to move on from her former spouse. According to the therapist, pursuing a happy future with Alan was impossible under such circumstances. Alan's ex-wife chose not to pursue the matter further, and the therapy sessions concluded. Meanwhile, the relationship between the newly formed couple progressed rapidly. Within months of their first date, they decided to move in together. 2 months later, they formalized their union through marriage. However, Alan remained unaware of the dark secrets his fiancée harbored and the reasons behind her divorce from her previous husband. In April 2014, Alan decided to visit his parents for the weekend. It was an opportunity to share news of his beloved and their impending wedding. His parents were taken aback by this sudden revelation, as they had never heard of Alejandra before. This unexpected development left them puzzled. A week after the meeting with his parents, the marriage ceremony took place. Interestingly, Alejandra requested that her husband refrain from inviting friends and relatives. No invitations were sent, and the wedding was intended to be modest, with a limited budget. However, as it later turned out, the bride's father did attend the marriage ceremony. Initially, the life of the young couple resembled a fairy tale. They were young, happy, and filled with dreams and aspirations. But this idyllic existence was short-lived. Alejandra's true nature began to emerge, revealing a hysterical and unpredictable personality. No one suspected the horrifying events that would unfold, but the relationship between the newlyweds underwent a dramatic transformation. Alan was a reserved individual who kept his personal life private, even from his friends. Therefore, little was known about the turmoil that transpired behind closed doors. However, it became evident that their once strong bond had fractured, and their happiness had faded. After meeting Alejandra, Alan distanced himself from his family. The final straw came when his parents were not invited to their wedding. They subsequently ceased all communication. Alan's remaining friends noticed a concerning change in his spouse's behavior. She became increasingly nervous, exhibited inappropriate conduct, and displayed a quick temper. After several such incidents, Alan felt ashamed and decided to minimize their social interactions. Quarrels within the family occurred daily, often over trivial matters. One evening, Alejandra, in her own words, decided to access her husband's cell phone. As is often the case, she discovered correspondence with other women containing explicit content. Unable to turn a blind eye to such revelations, Alejandra claimed that this was the final straw. She testified in court that her husband had beaten, insulted, and humiliated her in every possible way. When his infidelity was also uncovered, she saw no point in saving their marriage. For reasons unknown, Alejandra did not resort to traditional psychotherapy methods to salvage their relationship. Instead, upon learning of her husband's betrayal, she devised a plan to deal with Alan using a method she was already familiar with. Once this decision was made, her full attention was directed towards creating the perfect murder plot. Meanwhile, Alan continued his usual routine, unaware of the impending danger. He rarely communicated with his family, but he made an exception for the annual feast held in honor of his beloved grandfather's birthday. Alan attended the feast, but his parents made it clear that his wife was not welcome. This situation further strained their relationship, and the couple's marriage appeared irreconcilable. Little did anyone know that this would be the last time the family saw Alan alive. On October 31, 2014, Alan's phone was last used to send a text message to his family, informing them that he had arrived home safely after his birthday celebration. From that moment on, he vanished without a trace. His absence from work for several days was highly unusual, as he was known for his unwavering dedication and responsibility. The launch of a new store was imminent, and his presence as the head of the company was essential. What transpired was a chilling plan orchestrated by his spouse, which was set into motion upon Alan's return from the holiday gathering. Another argument ensued, prompting Alejandra to decide to eliminate her husband immediately. She spiked his milk, which he customarily drank before bedtime, with a powerful sleeping pill. Once he was incapacitated, she smothered him with a pillow. She watched with satisfaction as her husband slowly lost consciousness, making a feeble attempt to remove the pillow and gasp for breath. The most challenging part of her plan was disposing of the body. She had not anticipated the difficulties she would encounter. Alan's weight made it impossible for her to handle the task alone. Time was of the essence, so Alejandra rushed to her neighbor's vegetable garden to retrieve an electric saw. With a grim smile etched on her face, she proceeded to saw her husband's body into pieces. Only a true sadist could commit such a heinous act. Alejandra then packed the body parts into garbage bags, taking the precaution of cutting off his fingers and extracting his teeth. These measures were intended to hinder identification in case the body was discovered. She stuffed all the bags into suitcases to remove the corpse from the house without arousing suspicion. However, her plan was foiled when dawn approached, and Alejandra was unable to leave the house unnoticed. An elderly neighbor, suffering from insomnia, observed her from her window. The neighbor was alarmed by the young woman's early departure, especially since her husband was not assisting her with the heavy suitcases. Additionally, Alejandra's behavior was strange. She kept looking around as if she was being watched. At daybreak, Alejandra returned home, further perplexing the vigilant neighbor. As it would later be revealed, Alejandra had scattered bags containing her ex-husband's remains in different neighborhoods to cover her tracks. As the new day dawned, she resumed her normal routine. On November 6, 2014, Mexican police officers made a horrifying discovery: a human torso with no teeth and no fingers on the hand. The entire police force was placed on high alert, as the incident was unprecedented in its level of brutality. Less than a day later, other body parts were found in various parts of the city. Interestingly, the distance between the locations where the packages were found was significant. This would later be attributed to Alejandra's prolonged absence from home. All the body parts were sent to the most advanced forensic laboratory, where experts swiftly established that they all belonged to the same individual. In an attempt to divert suspicion from herself, the perpetrator began sending messages to Alan's relatives. Her intention was to mislead them, but her actions only served to worsen the situation. Unbeknownst to Alejandra, her husband had recently distanced himself from his family and had no contact with his relatives. Alejandra informed Alan's parents, on his behalf, that they were going on vacation and would be out of touch. However, this plan was thwarted by Alejandra's father, Alberto. He began making phone calls to Alan's father's house, seeking confirmation of whether his son-in-law's family knew Alejandra's whereabouts. Alberto had not heard from her in a while, and his patients were concerned about her absence from counseling sessions. He later called Alan's relatives again to inform them that his daughter had been found and forcibly admitted to a clinic due to depression caused by her husband's infidelity. This news greatly alarmed the family, and they attempted to locate Alan, but their efforts were unsuccessful. Consequently, the family turned to the police for assistance. Forensic experts decided to compare the remains of the recently discovered corpse with Alan's characteristics. The similarity was 100%, and his relatives also confirmed his identity. The news was particularly devastating for Alan's grandfather, who subsequently suffered a heart attack due to the loss of his only grandson. The investigation led to a search warrant being issued for Alan's home and office. A mound of fresh earth was discovered in the backyard of the house. Upon digging, the man's fingers and teeth were unearthed. This gruesome discovery further shocked the capital city. Alejandra was immediately apprehended. Traces of blood were also found in one of the rooms, as well as on the trunk of the car and in the garage. Initially, Alejandra denied her involvement in the crime. She hoped to escape punishment with impunity, as she had done with her previous husband. However, the investigation quickly unraveled the case. The testimony of the elderly witness was crucial, as her timeline coincided with Alan's estimated time of death. Alejandra used her position as a therapist to obtain a powerful sleeping pill, a drug that only a doctor could access. This further aggravated the case against her. The evidence obtained established a clear link between Alejandra and the brutal murder of her husband. CCTV cameras also confirmed that Alan had entered the house and never left. The fact that the suitcases were taken out was also corroborated by CCTV footage. On December 10, 2014, the jury reached a verdict. Alejandra was sentenced to life imprisonment for murder with brutality and an attempt to conceal the crime, as well as for the abuse of her official position. All these factors weighed heavily against the former psychotherapist. Her father, who attempted to use his connections and bribes to spare his daughter from imprisonment, was unsuccessful. All he managed to achieve was to keep the trial closed to the public and the press to avoid further publicity. However, his efforts were motivated by self-interest. He feared that his own career would be tarnished if it became known that he had raised such a ruthless monster and failed to diagnose his daughter's psychological problems in time. The case of Alejandra's first husband's death also resurfaced during the trial. However, due to the passage of time, the evidence in that case had been lost. The possibility of Alejandra's father's involvement in the crime was also considered. There were suspicions that he may have colluded with his daughter, and that they committed crimes together out of scientific curiosity. However, this theory lacks substantial evidence. After several appeals from the victims' families, the sentence was commuted to death. This was an unprecedented decision, as such sentences are extremely rare in Mexico, especially in recent times. The defendant was also denied the right to appeal the case. The house and all the property of the accused were to be transferred to the victim's family, although it is doubtful that material possessions could provide any solace for the loss of a loved one. Alejandra was a pragmatic and ruthless woman with severe mental health issues, although medical examinations denied that she had any. She was also influenced by her father and exploited her official position to carry out her manic plans. The impunity she experienced after her first crime had only emboldened her. Alejandra felt invincible and continued to commit evil acts. Perhaps Alan would still be alive if this horrific woman had not been acquitted the first time. But it was too late to dwell on what could have been. Please to like and subscribe to my channel if you like this video. This will help my channel to grow. Thanks for watching.